is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
They are hiring in their locations in Doral, brand new location, big, beautiful location, Bird Road and Miami Lakes. So make sure you want to find out you need a job. All kinds of positions they're hiring there at Sports Grill. Ray Liotta has passed, my friend. What is your favorite Ray Liotta movie?
It'd be hard not to go with Goodfellas, wouldn't it?
Right.
Like that one. 8 Men Out's very good.
I forgot about that, dude. I forgot about. By the way, you've been to the Combine, right? Have you been with me to the cigar bar over the one that not the one that you go downstairs in Nikki Blaine's, but the one with the Buddha on the outside? What was the name? The Buddha Lounge, I think it was called. Actually, had you ever been there with me to the Buddha Lounge?
I have been with you to a cigar bar. If you were to ask me which one it was,
Did we walk downstairs to get to it?
Don't remember.
Or did we go in a bar and it had a second floor and it had a big, beautiful wood bar?
I'm thinking we walked upstairs more than we walked downstairs.
Okay, so and it was a couple blocks off the circle, right? That we walked. Is that the one?
I don't remember that.
Well, anyways, did they serve food there? Did you see anybody eating sushi also?
Don't remember that. Because we went fairly late at night where it's past dinner time. So
well, my point is, in 8 Men Out, that big beautiful wooden bar that they have, that's the bar from 8 Men Out.
Okay.
In the Buddha Lounge.
I was wondering where you were going with that because, like, what the hell does that have to do?
Yeah, because you mentioned 8 Men Out, and I know because I used to. They closed that down. Now they moved it again, but that bar, the owner told me, he goes, "This is the bar from 8 Men Out," and it's like I went to watch it when I got home after the combine. I was like, "Mother effer, that is the bar," and that thing is just mahogany, and it's just beautiful. It's just gorgeous, dude. It's classic work, man. It's just a thing of beauty. But 8 Men Out, I forgot that Liotta was in that movie, dude. That's a good call.
Thank you, sir. I have him every once in a while.
67 years old. We lost him today. He was filming a movie in the Bahamas, Dominican Republic. He was filming a movie and fell asleep and died in his sleep last night. What a shame, man.
Yep.
What a shame. Wow, that is. I'm with you. I might watch Goodfellas this weekend. Relax and Ray's honor. Watch a little Goodfellas. I haven't watched that in a long. Like I haven't watched it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
In a long time. I've watched it in pieces as I channel surf, but I haven't watched it together. Just
flick.
out of. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Great flick. It's a great flick.
Just out of curiosity, your closing thoughts on the Panther season?
Massive disappointment. Not that they necessarily felt they were a better team than Tampa Bay. I certainly thought they'd do give them a better series, and I still question the makeup of the team. Do they have the right guys to advance far in the playoffs? And at this point, it's like, and I understand there's a build up to it that usually it takes some time before the guys learn like the championship pedigree and all that, except that guys like Barco, Uberdov, Ekblad, Uyghur, they've been around a while. So
long time.
That's my question. Is the core is a core that can win a Stanley Cup, and which is obviously the goal? That's a question.
I am of the school that you're going to have to part ways with Hubie to go get a guy because Barkov needs a sumbitch next to him, and there isn't one on this franchise right now. Maybe Lundell, maybe some of the young guys might turn into one of those guys. I have no idea, but I know this: Barkov and Hubie are not that guy. And so, if you're not a Connor McDavid, if you're not a the dude from Pittsburgh, Crosby, if you're not the two guys we just faced, Stamkos and Kucherov, you're not one of those guys. I think that's what Zito needs to do. I think Zito one thing I do love about Zito is dude, he has a good feel for this. He makes the proper changes every year, and I think he'll do that again this year. I think. And by the way, do you know of a disgruntled star that's out there that they could, maybe grab?
Yeah, hockey stars get treated well. They don't get disgruntled. It's not like football or basketball. They usually you don't see like
it's so true. They're just good people, bro. They're just hockey people are just different people. You're so right. You're so right.
That's why you see guys stars don't get moved very often in the NHL. The one who did like a few years ago was John Tavares, and part of it he wanted to play Toronto, where he's from. So, but that doesn't happen. The one thing about Huberdeau that needs to be mentioned is he's heading into the final year of his contract, and dude's going to want to get paid. So the Panthers have a decision to make. Whether are they signing him to a long-term contract at big money, or do they decide to, trade him sooner rather than later, not wait till the last second while his value is at a maximum. And I don't know that his value can get much higher than
I agree. Yeah, definitely. I mean, his value was a little higher before the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then it went down just a little bit here during the play. The stocks went down just a little bit here after the playoffs. But he's a guy I think they're going to need. I think they got to trade for that guy. I don't know if it exists because I don't follow hockey that way. But Riley has made a living of that with the Heat, and he's always found that guy that isn't happy somewhere else and brings him here to star here. I don't know if Zito can do that, but if he can, man, find a way to get it done because it's a shame because it now becomes a window too, and you have to take advantage of it before it closes. That's the thing too.
Yeah. No, and it may be that you trade Huberdeau, and it's not star for star, but rather star for couple of pieces and hockey, it helps to have those 3 or 4 guys who were like really good playoff type guys, which the Panthers don't necessarily have a whole lot of. They have a lot of guys who are really good in the regular season, which for the 18,000th time is a totally different game.
Yeah, no, obviously that's definitely what we're learning, and that's where these guys are going to have to adjust. All right, your thoughts here on this week of OTAs. What stood out most to you overall? One of the things that I talked to Marcel about, and it's not a Tua thing. It's just an overall thing. It looks like there's more camaraderie around the team than you had seen the last couple of years, where people get to be maybe themselves a little bit more. Are you noticing the same thing?
Not beyond the off the field team activities. And what we've discussed earlier. If you're asking me what stood out to me on Tuesday, which was the one practice that we had that was open to the media, was, and I had seen it before, and I've seen him play a few times, but it struck me more on Tuesday than it had ever had before. And since the issue of arm strength has come up quite often when it comes to the Dolphins starting quarterback, well, I was struck with the Dolphins backup quarterback and where not a whole lot of arm strength there. And again, I'm not breaking any news, but it struck me.
That's normal.
But it struck me as it was like glaring on Tuesday, like, man, holy crap.
That's why his numbers have always been very, very, very pedestrian.
No, correct.
Yeah, the Lord blessed Teddy with the brain to play in the NFL, but not the ability to excel in the NFL. He has enough to survive, but he doesn't have enough to thrive. And that's the sad part for Teddy because you just know everything else about him is like franchise quarterback. That's the screwed up part. Like, here he's a franchise quarterback. Problem is here, and the athleticism is just not there. It just they didn't bless him with that, unfortunately. If they gave him just a little more arm strength and a little more athleticism, he would have never left Minnesota. They would have found their quarterback.
No, correct. And like I said, it's not that I didn't know he didn't have a strong arm, but it jumped out on Tuesday. And then Skylar Thompson, who does not have a reputation for having a big arm at all, actually threw the ball well. Had some really nice throws in that OTA on Tuesday. He looked good. Again, it's an OTA practice. I'm going to say it for him like I say it for Tua or for Bridgewater when he has a good practice. It's only OTA. But again, since it's kind of our first exposure to him here at this level, he had a very good practice. He looked good. And another thing that stood out to me is Hunter Long did some work on his body in the offseason. That was very apparent. I mean, because he looked to me like he was overmatched in terms of physical strength when he came in as a rookie last year. And this year,
can I run something by you?
Go ahead.
I ran this by Omar because he told me the same thing, and so I'm just spitballing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hunter Long is going to be the backup to Smythe and the backup to Alec Ingold. And so, because you don't really carry two fullbacks, and they got him bulking up a little bit, so maybe they want him in the blocking, and maybe because he's got pass catching involved, I'd be interested to see what happens in throughout training camp now in the preseason. If you start seeing him maybe line up a little H back there and replace Alec Ingold and come out of the backfield or something like that, I'd be very intrigued to see that because it's interesting. You have so many tight ends, and then he has a skill set in a way that he might be able to do a little bit of some of that. And so not to be your full-time guy, but just to get you through a game because something happened to Alex Ingold or something like that. But I think he'll be your backup blocking tight end of Smythe, and maybe he might be that experimental fullback they may try in this offseason. We'll see.
No, that makes sense. And the other thing we have to remember about Alec Ingold is he's coming off a torn ACL. So
good memory. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he hasn't worked. I mean, the 2 OTAs, and he's not going to work until at the very least training camp. And ideally, he's going to be ready for the start of the regular season, but I don't know that we can say for certainty, again, coming off a torn ACL. And the same applies for Raheem Mostert, where Mike McDaniel is saying Mostert's targeting week 1. Well, We're not talking week 1 of the preseason. We're talking week 1 of the regular season. And if that's your target, that means there's no guarantee. So
that means you're pacing him to get there, actually.
Right. Correct.
That's what it means. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So you have no intentions, which really you don't necessarily need to see him that much in the preseason. Only in that one tune-up game, maybe you would have liked to get him a couple carries. But a guy like that, yeah, you're probably not going to play a lot in the preseason anyways because he's coming back from a knee injury. Yeah.
No, correct. And plus he's very familiar with that
right.
49er system, so he doesn't need the rep. So they're fine there. And there could be more guys like that. Like if Teron Armstead, for example, didn't play it down in the preseason, it wouldn't surprise me. Same with X. Some of those guys,
Yep. Do you feel when I heard by the way, the explanation that McDaniel gave about the fullback, I thought that was fantastic because, we talk about the fullback and a lot of us have always talked about, oh man, bring back the fullback. A fullback always helps out in the run game, this and that. But then when he talked about the advantages when you run offense on one side or the other of the center that he can give you, and then the whole preparation part, that's the part I did not think about, which makes so much sense because when you're playing Lamar Jackson that week, it's not so much that they're so complicated and this and that. It's just that you never prepare for that all year long. Right. And all of a sudden now you face the Ravens. And then during the week, you can't duplicate it either. And so if most teams don't have a fullback, they can't duplicate it either. So it's harder for them to prepare for an offense with a fullback. And I never thought of that because, dude, you and I grew up where every offense had a fullback. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Now, what are we down to? 4, 5, 6, 7 teams? I don't even know how many are left. Did he ever say that in the press conference? How many teams? Do you know how many teams are left?
It's about like maybe 8 or 9. I think that.
Wow, it's that many. Okay. Wow, I didn't even think it would get that high. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So I thought his explanation of the fullback, of all aspects of it, I thought that was a fantastic. To me, that was the juicy soundbite of the whole press conference.
No, and the other thing too is, again, it gives you more looks and more possibilities of things to do on offense where, like, hell, they didn't even carry a fullback on the roster last year. And I understand, yeah, sure, Christian Wilkins lined up a couple of times, but still, that's an element that you basically throw out. And it's not like the Dolphins were killing it on 3rd and 1s. So what's the cost of having, I mean, they had like 5 tight ends on the roster last year. I mean, what's the cost of having a fullback instead where you can do different things, show different looks, get the opponent to have to prepare for more things? To me, there's a lot of benefits.
No, I'm with you there all the way. What was the other thing that I wanted to mention to you from the press conference? God, now I'm brain farting on one of the things that I wanted to talk about from the press conference.
Connor Williams. Is that what you're gonna bring
Um,
up?
what? Oh, because why you moving him around? You mean?
Yeah, and McDaniel acknowledging that he's starting off at center.
I think I find that just experimental and backup purposes down the line. Like I don't think Connor plays center at all. I think he plays center in desperation situations. I think he's going to be the left guard no matter what anybody tells me. I think it's just one of those, hey, let's find out what you can do. And I know you've played it. Let's see if you can be a center just in case for us. I think it's just an experimental thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm not sure about that actually, because I think now you look at it in combination. Are we better off with Connor Williams at center and Liam Eichenberg at left guard, or are we better off with Michael Dieter at center and Connor Williams at left guard? And
I'd go with the latter, actually, because
yeah, and see, to me,
because
it's not
Peter
a
wasn't terrible. Eichenberg was. Connor's experienced, and so is Teron Armstead. I think I have a better chance of getting a smooth transition with those guys. With Eichenberg, it's pot luck. I don't know what I'm getting at all.
except Eichenberg played tackle last year, and then there were a lot of folks in the draft analysis business and college realm who always figured that, in fact, my colleague, my SI Fan Nation colleague who covers Notre Dame, kind of looked at him as a guy who easily could slide down to guard and could be a really good, solid player there for a decade or so. So, and he's one guy I absolutely would expect to make a jump in his second year. And I think he'll be a lot better at guard than he was at tackle, I would suspect.
All right, I got to ask you because I got to ask you. So, what's the deal with Grant Cohn over there in San Francisco and Javon Kinlaw? That's isn't that a compadre of yours from Sports Illustrated?
That is another colleague of mine. Yes, I actually have reached out to Grant to try to find out what the scoop is, and he's not getting back to me so far. So, man, yeah, that was not a good. I mean, regardless of what, I don't know what started off the whole thing.
I'm still trying to figure that out. All these stories I'm reading, it it's like kind of like gray areas all over the place.
Well, I know that they had an OTA open to the media, and during that OTA, Kinlaw walked over to Grant to confront him about things that he has written. And Grant is no holds barred when he writes. He's not very delicate. But Kinlaw's got to have, I'm sorry, you're a professional athlete, and unless he takes a personal shot at you and attacks your personal character, if a writer says something about your performance or your play without making it personal, that comes with the Terry. Comes with
an 80-year-old calling it an 80-year-old knee. Is that personal?
No, not at all.
Okay,
not attacking
because we said Rodney Gadsden had 100-year-old toes. If you remember, and I know you remember because you and I have been around for a while.
Yeah.
Right? Didn't we say that Rodney Gadsden, like when we would watch him walking around the locker, it's like, dude, those toes. And like he knew about it too. Like he made fun of his own toes. That's the beauty of a Rodney Gadsden. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like we openly said he had 80-year-old man toes or something like that.
Yeah, but if you're saying the guy is he's got knee problems all over the place, so he's got bad knees or whatever, there's nothing insulting about that. I mean, if that were the case, Devontae Parker, with all the times he's been insulted about his injuries, if he'd have a case to like go off on somebody, holy moly.
Yeah, he could have gone postal on you guys many times, or myself.
Yeah. Correct. So I don't know what started it. I just saw the Kinlaw clip. Not a good look on him. I'm sure the 49ers aren't necessarily thrilled by that being out there.
Were you in the locker room the day Gene Atkins leveled Jason Cole?
I was not. I've seen some confrontations in the locker room.
Yeah, I have too, but that's the one we really missed.
Yeah, I don't remember why, but I wasn't in there for that one.
I know why, because Cole was talking about his salary, and he was playing bad, and so Gene got pissed off because back in those days, salaries were now kind of getting exposed a lot now at that time, and then salaries are getting bigger at that time, so they were becoming bigger news in those days. And so Gene did not like that Cole was writing about his salary and not living up to it, and then he did what a safety does out in the open field.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Feel bad for Cole. I don't know how Cole didn't sue his ass, by the way, right? That's the Dolphins are very fortunate, and so is the NFL, because he easily could have sued them for something like that. All right, what are you working on in Sports Illustrated so folks can check you out?
Well, I know this afternoon we're going to a couple of things on the aforementioned Hunter Long and how we might fit kind of an offshoot of our discussion here, and we're going to do something on Miles Gaskin.
You like my little backup fullback idea, huh?
I might throw that in there, actually.
There you go.
Do I have to credit you for that idea? Or?
Oh, no. It's all good.
No, and then something else on Miles Gaskin and where he fits. It was interesting that
such a good dude.
He's a good dude. He's kind of become a forgotten guy, and as part of the an example of that is they kind of lined up players kind of at the same time for interviews on Tuesday, and he didn't necessarily gather a big crowd over there.
Yeah.
Again, because they brought in Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, now Sony Michel.
Right.
Miles might be going, hey, by the way, rushing leader last 2 years, it's me.
Right. Yeah, but you weren't their guy, and that's the problem.
Correct.
Sad. It sucks. It's just a part of the business, man. This is what happens when there's changes. Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Catch his work there at Sports Illustrated. Bookmark it too. It's the best way to keep up with everything going on. He does write 87 articles a day. Alain, as always, my brother, appreciate you. Thank you. We will catch up next week.
Have a good weekend and enjoy your next viewing of Goodfellas. Yes, sir. I definitely will this weekend. Thank you, sir. Be good. There you go. Alain Poupart, baby, and our sports grill.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.